So, I'm your destiny?
You're much more than that, Cirilla.
The Witcher is returning for its second season on Netflix, delving even deeper into its fantastic world of mages and monster slayers. The first season was a huge hit thanks to its excellent action set pieces and unique setting, but it was marred by inconsistent writing. Is The Witcher's second season a step in the right direction? Here's how we feel after watching the first 6 episodes.
They are turned into monsters to kill other monsters.
That's not going to happen to her.
But it happened to you.
While The Witcher Season 2 has lingering issues with pacing and characterization, it's broadly a step forward for the series, with Geralt and Ciri's budding father-daughter relationship serving as its emotional core. Elsewhere, The Witcher Season 2 examines the consequences of the massive battle at Sodden Hill, builds further on the politics of Nilfgaard, Redania, and the Elves, and introduces a multitude of new players. This season also dispenses with the often confusing timeline hopping that characterized The Witcher's first season, making it both more straightforward and more conventional. With the world and characters now firmly established, The Witcher is starting to dig into its premise in some compelling ways. It takes a lot of confusing info and mostly does an effective job of boiling it down into something digestible, particularly Ciri's backstory. It continues to be light and exceedingly watchable, though it's unlikely to boast any breakout viral bangers on the level of toss a coin to your Witcher.
What? I made new friends, get over it.
Tellingly, the first episode, which happens to be its most self-contained, is also probably its strongest. A Grain of Truth encapsulates most of what made The Witcher work in its first season, providing a dark adaptation of a classic fairy tale while weaving its world-building elements in the background. Equally telling is that it begins to wobble a bit once it shifts its focus to Yennefer, who's appropriately the show's most unstable element. This season, Yennefer is mostly dealing with the fallout of Sodden, an attempt to explore the other side of the devil's bargain she made to become a mage. It sounds like a neat idea on the face of it, but if The Witcher were an anime, then this would be a filler arc, effectively erasing much of the progress that Yennefer made in the first season. Pacing continues to be a recurring problem for The Witcher, packing a lot of extraneous story beats into one episode while pausing other stories for half a season. It's a compelling world, but that has more to do with the source material than the actual writing in the show, which still relies way too much on exposition for its world building. Its major players scheme in faraway councils, but rarely have much bearing on the story as a whole, at least this season. If Yennefer, Ciri, and Geralt are the main protagonists, then everything else is background noise. Nilfgaard in particular remains a sticking point for the series. Its chief representatives, Cahir and Fringilla, continue to be poorly defined antagonists. Season 2's first 6 episodes fill in Fringilla ever so slightly, but Cahir continues to be all over the place, his main defining trait being that he's, well, an antagonist. They tie in heavily with the story of Francesca, an elven sorceress, but it takes quite a while for their plotline to go anywhere remotely interesting. Ultimately, Geralt and Ciri are this season's center of gravity, their scenic training sessions mixed with the central mystery of Ciri's powers. Kaer Morhen, a beautiful wintry keep that serves as Witcher HQ, serves as the backdrop for their story through the majority of the season, populated by several brand new Witchers. As the season progresses, Ciri becomes a tough and even ferocious young woman, a far cry from the somewhat timid figure she cut in the show's first season. Season 2 sees her become an increasingly central figure, her backstory woven directly into the fabric of the show's lore.
What's happening?
There's a Brookser in the house.
What? What are you doing? What's going on, Geralt?
The Witcher Season 2, at least in its first 6 episodes, continues to be a light and entertaining adventure through a unique fantasy world, widening the scope and introducing several new players. It's a lot of fun, but its writing and pacing remain inconsistent, its potential mostly observable in brief bursts of excellence. Only time will tell whether The Witcher can be, as Geralt puts it, something more. For more, check out our reviews of Cowboy Bebop and The Wheel of Time, and for everything else, stick with IGN.